Good evening and thanks for joining us. There's another indicator our already gloomy-looking economy is headed into a downward spiral. It shrank again last month, the fifth month in a row, and that all but guarantees Canada is headed into a technical recession. It is not the news any government wants, especially just ahead of an election call, and especially a government that always promotes itself as a great steward of the economy. Vashi Kapelos looks at the numbers and the politics.
A thumbs up from politicians doling out $100 million to help boost manufacturing operations at this Toyota car plant. Not hard to see why. Manufacturers, it appears, could use some help. Until now, Canada's economic woes were all about oil, but new data shows the manufacturing sector contracted by 1.7% in May, and GDP declined for a fifth straight month, shrinking by 0.2%, worse than expected, all but guaranteeing the economy will enter into a technical recession this year.
It does look like with May's weakness that it's going to be hard to avoid that two consecutive contractions in real economic activity.
The bad news comes just days before the election campaign kicks off and could be trouble for the Tories, who have staked their political fortunes on being good managers of the economy. Conservatives blame global uncertainty for the economic downturn.
The NDP and Liberals promise a $1,000 tax on every worker and on every small business. That would be the worst way to respond to this global economic turbulence.
This is all because of global uncertainty?
The risk of a new payroll tax that both the NDP and Liberals propose.
You don't admit any fault from your government directing us to this point? I mean, this is the worst.
I've already answered your question.
You haven't really. You've just continued to repeat the same thing.
I don't know where Mr. Harper goes and gets the information on which he comes out and tells Canadians that he's the best manager of the economy, because it doesn't tally up for me.
To be fair, economists aren't convinced the full story is written and are expecting the economy to rebound in the last half of the year.
It just doesn't feel like a recession outside of the areas, and certainly the oil sector in some of the regions. Employment has been growing broadly in Canada. Interest rates are low. The U.S. is beginning to recover.
New job numbers are set to be released next week. Economists and politicians will be watching closely, some likely hoping the economy's troubles are safely in the rear view as the election nears. Vashi Kapelos, Global News, Ottawa.